Hey, and welcome to another episode. I'm doing a little mini-series talking about toys and some of their gimmicks over the years. You may know several off the top of your head. I'm just gonna try to showcase some toys that incorporate all those lovely gimmicks that we appreciated over the years. Some of the things that made these toys stand out from the crowd. Now, you might see some familiar faces here. These are roughly late 70s through late 90s, trying to cover several eras just to show how things have progressed and evolved over the years. Obviously, there's way more than just these five over the course of, 20 years worth of toy evolution. There's way more to showcase, and some of these feature more than just one gimmick. So let's go down the list. We will start with the oldest first. Right here we have a 1978 Kenner Darth Vader TIE Fighter. There's something very interesting with how they did these sounds on this one. Now, unfortunately, on this particular one, the motor that creates the sounds is not coming on. I haven't had a chance to take it apart, clean it like I normally do. This one is personal display, so I haven't really had much use or desire to pull it down and rip it apart. However, the lights do still work. You can see with a lot of these toys, the Kenner Star Wars, you've got lights on the front, press a little lever, and you've got lights. Now, normally when I press this button, you would also hear kind of like a high-pitched whirring sound. As for this particular item, it utilized a little electric motor inside that runs off of just 3 volts. And the motor has a gear on the end. That gear is pressed up against a small piece of nylon, usually maybe a 1/2 inch long, if that, and it makes a whirring sound, like a high pitch, almost like the laser sound, like when the TIE Fighter, if you remember in the movies, how the laser sounded coming from the different ships during battle. Very cool how they came up with that idea on how to make the sounds. Unfortunately, over time, those motors tend to seize up. A lot of times could be corrosion on the battery compartment, where a little white vinegar will usually remedy that. This actually does have multiple gimmicks with it. You've got the lights, you've got the sound, so that's covering 2. And then you have levers that make the wings pop off to mimic getting blown up in a battle, which is really cool. Going with next on the list in terms of age, we have the Generation 1 Transformers 1985 Shockwave. Obviously, the main gimmick of this toy is with the whole line where it transforms from a robot to another inanimate object, sometimes animated objects. The earlier runs, included Optimus Prime, transforms from a robot into a semi. Megatron transforms into a little pistol. Starscream transforms into a jet. So they do transform into all sorts of things. This particular one, like Megatron, transforms into a gun. This one, it's more of a futuristic type of laser pistol, whereas Megatron actually transforms into a real-world style gun, which I think is like a Walter P-38, if I remember correctly. This particular one, though, is these sounds you probably heard throughout the course of a lot of toys like this. That lovely sound, you can see it's also got the light gimmick. So we got sounds, we got lights, transforming. This is one of the reasons why the Transformers were so popular. It also has a different mode. Now, if you're like me, that sound just snaps you back to your childhood, because so many toys, generic laser pistols, anything to do with kind of space lasers, employed that sound. And it's just, for one to still be in good working condition, it's actually really nice. This one does have a very delicate 9-volt battery connector inside that had a little bit of corrosion on it. I was able to clean up, but you've got to be careful with those because they will actually come separated. Plus, this little wire hose right here oftentimes is really roached out, really chewed up. I like to put the feet out on the bottom. Normally those are supposed to be tucked in, but it displays really well with the feet out, and you can just set it up like that on the shelf. Next on the list, we have, I believe, 1986 Bummer. No, I take that back. 1985 was Series 1. This has the Battlematic action and light up eyes. So it covers 2 of the toy gimmicks that I'll be talking about over the course of the series. This one we're focusing on like a more electronic end, the lights, the sounds, things that separate these toys from the rest. This one can be very finicky. You have a little activator here that houses one AAA battery. It's got a 2-point connector on the top. Battery goes inside. It goes into this little hole on the back. And the eyes, if done properly, will light up red. As you can see, it's also got a little lever on the back. That's what activates the Battlematic action. We're not discussing that one today. So I am going to try to turn off the light and get you to see the light up eyes in action. And here we go. Those light up eyes glowing menacingly red. It's one of the things that I loved about the Thundercats toys. I don't know if these were the first toys to implement this kind of action. I know a lot of toys used something called light piping for this kind of stuff, but this one was very, very cool. And it can be very finicky. The ends of this guy tend to get really corroded. If you take a Q-tip, some white vinegar, let it soak on there, and take something like a sponge, something with a little more coarse surface. Not like sandpaper, but like a sponge, a dish sponge. A lot of times you can clean that up. Also, the spot on the back. Just be careful, you don't want to saturate it. A little bit of white vinegar or Q-tip on the back. A lot of times we'll clean that up so it makes a good connection. Next on the list, we have Orion's 1989 Robocop. This particular one is the one with the jetpack. This is the 8-inch tall Robocop. This one's not 100% complete. It is missing the leg thrusters. I think there's 2 pieces that match this color plastic. This is the jetpack, which on this one, it's definitely removable. So you could just have it where it's just regular Robocop. But I always like it. If they've got the accessories, why not wear them? Now, this particular guy does also cover the light and sound department with the electronics. His visor lights up red, and he does have several sayings.
Don't move. Don't move. You called for backup. Don't move.
So yeah, I think he's just got those 3 different sound effects, and of course his visor lights up each time. There's not a lot to them. Not superposable. The legs do move forward and backwards. I think you just got your typical 6 points of articulation. Next up on the list is the Talking Chip Hazard from 1998. Covers 3 different gimmicks. It's got the arm lever action, where the right arm, his right arm, left if you're looking at the screen, will raise up. I believe he is supposed to harness some sort of gun in his holster on his right leg. He also has sounds and he has lights. Now this guy, actually, I just recently found him. Picked him up the other day at one of my little spots that I stop at. Took a magic eraser to him, cleaned him up a little bit, cleaned his battery compartment, threw some batteries in him, and lo and behold, he does work. So this has definitely earned a spot in my personal collection. And I do plan on making this a multi-part series, just talking about all the toy gimmicks of the eras that basically revolved around my childhood and people of my generation's childhood, which a lot of people agree are some of the best eras in toy making history. 20-year time span, roughly. 1974 to 1994 is kind of where I focus. And we'll get more into that, you know, assuming this channel does well and assuming people care about what I have to say and like seeing the things that I put up here. So stay tuned and thanks for coming.